Good times with good friends, that's what makes the world go round. Makes life worth living, doesn't it? But what happens when those good times don't stay that way? Tonight's tale, we're going to go back to a time when a friend of mine and I were invited to the former Buffalo Psychiatric Center. Richardson Complex, it's also known as. And they took us in areas of the building that were yet to be refurbished, cleaned up, or even touched in years. We definitely knew there was a presence there that wasn't in our best of interest. The H. Richardson Complex, also known as the Buffalo Psych Center, was actually built in 1871. November 5th, 1880 was actually the first day the complex would accept patients. The H. Richardson Complex was actually built in what they call the Kirkbride style of architecture. The idea behind it was that if we built the building in a way that was almost like a bat wing, we can place the nurses' station, the doctors, the headquarters towards the center as a hub, and the wings going out would be where the patients would go. This would give them a source of light, air, the natural environment, and that was kind of the idea behind the whole thing. Was much like the tuberculosis hospitals. The whole idea was, let's heal people with nature. Kirkbride had only designed the buildings to typically fit 300 patients. H. Richardson Complex had a much different idea in mind and actually doubled that number. Unfortunately, years later after opening, they were said to be closer to the 1,000 or thousands range. The building actually sat on a 100-acre farm. This also gave the opportunity for patients who were well enough, or that were there for the mental illnesses, that could still function and do, regular tasks. The farm would give them that chance to not only bring agriculture and work on produce and foods and things for the people of the hospital, but also for the state of New York. That was kind of the plan of it all, was if we're going to put these people in here, let's also give them productive things to do so that they're still productive members of society, just being treated behind these walls. Many years later, closer to the 1970s, the Buffalo State Hospital, the Insane Hospital, whatever you guys want to call it, they actually went as far as to build a new building near the original facility. And to do so, they actually knocked down some of the men's wings of the hospital and transported them into the new building stationed right next door. The last patients to actually be held in the Richardson Complex was 1974. The two giant towers that sit when you look at the building, those were administration towers and remained so until 1990. After that, they determined that the building was no longer safe for any more functions. Therefore, they completely removed the people. But as you see, they didn't always remove everything that remained. And it was almost like walking through just a snapshot of time. Everybody's gone. It's you and what's left. This building has been a lot of things for a lot of people. And I say that because living and growing up in Buffalo, New York, this building had always been an interest to me. Paranormal reasons, but the building had been considered abandoned as long as I had been alive. So for many years, that building had sat there, creepy, ominous, almost like something out of a Batman comic or something, you would think. Later, finding out that it would be the inspiration for Massive Asylum in the Outlast series. Now, as we toured the building, we found all kinds of things, but what really got me personally, my experience at this location, was when I decided to follow the tour that we were in to the basement. That is where I had my problem, my issue, if you will. As we proceeded down the wooden stairs into the basement, we noticed a big giant vault. Completely empty, of course, but the giant door was still attached and it was open so you could see inside. You could also see down a couple halls, but most of the area was blocked off, bricked off to be exact. The reasoning behind a lot of this? Well, there were tunnels that led to other parts of the building. I walked into the room to the left as we got to the bottom of the stairs, and I felt a pit in my stomach, and it made me sick instantly. So much so, I turned around and I headed pushing past people back up the narrow stairway to get outside, just to get fresh air, just to breathe. Not knowing what had taken place down there, why was I so affected by this area? Well, come to find out that it said there were operation rooms down there, surgical rooms. But what operations were they doing? We have to recall this building was built, again, in 1870s. Wasn't completed until 1880, but in 1880, until the 1970s, there were a lot of experimental treatments that ran wild through the world. From lobotomies to just the idea that we can fix you by torturing you with electroshock therapy. Those type of things happened, and happened frequently because they were thought to be the most new, exciting, earth-shattering, healing type of treatment we could give. And the Richardson Complex, or the Buffalo Psych Center, is no stranger to that. And from what I've been told, some of the rumors I've heard, some of the blueprints I've seen, those would have been some of those exact rooms. So for a certain time frame, they try to scrub the records, if you will, forget about some of the dark past. Is it haunted? Many claim it is. I did not have a paranormal experience in the location other than the feelings I felt in the basement. Would I rule it out? Of course not. It's got the look, it's got the vibe, it's got the history, and it's got the tragedy. But for those of you who may or may not have seen or played the Outlast game, let's take a couple pictures and look at what exactly I saw while I was hanging out in what is also known as Massive Asylum. Enjoy.